Hi, good evening. It is Wednesday night, and so we're live. All right, so I'm Nicole with Equally Creative by Nicole, and I am excited to bring to you the cap and gown stamp set from Stampin' Up. And we have a million people in our lives who will be graduating from somewhere this year. So what a perfect set to break out and go ahead and start getting my mind wrapped around the fact that I probably have more than the five that I've created here this evening. So I actually have five projects to share with you. Two of them are just an alternate version of one another. And then the other three are just a variety. And I can't wait. So let's see. Any updates? Our current catalogs will be ending at the end of this month. So if there's something in one of those two catalogs, you're going to want to grab it before it's gone. They are now on anything that's retiring is on our while supplies last list. So you're going to want to find those fun things that you just can't live without and grab those. Don't forget that if you love me, you can select me as your demonstrator, and I will definitely shower you with wonderful praise and thanks. And that's it. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to switch the camera down so you can see. So this is the stamp set that I'm talking about tonight, cap and gown. It is so cleverly done. You do have some black and white line images, and then you have some solid images. Now, unfortunately, I do not have the absolute perfect green for my daughter's high school. Theirs is a very specific lime green, and I'm worried that any of these other greens that I do are just not gonna be good enough. So I chose to do Davin's alma mater color. And then I chose to do some UL, which is our local college here. So you'll see a lot of red, white, and black tonight, and only one green cap and gown. All right. So again, this is the stamp set. It is one of our rubber stamp sets. So you do have to put the sticker on the top, or you can leave it off. I've seen a lot of people leave them off. I like to put them on. It just makes sense for me. And really quickly, one of our stamp set, one of the cards that I created does use our classic letters. This set is still available on our online exclusives. They are the clear photopolymer, and there's a lot of them, obviously. So this is still available right now while supplies last. So let's go ahead and show you my first card. And you can see this green is not very lime green. It's almost like a hunter green, which is not my daughter's current high school. It is Davin's old high school, however. So let's go ahead and do this one. I wanted it to be a little bit fun and a whole lot of simple. So all this one is stamps, ink, and paper. So let's go ahead and get started. Standard card base, you could do the 5.5 by 8.5 and score it on the 4 1/4, fold it that way, or I did the 4 1/4 by 11. This is scored at 5.5, and it is in a portrait style here. And then I did pre-stamp some of the pieces here because I was using up some scraps. But before we get to these parts, we're going to go ahead and stamp our background. And that includes our class of and the 24. So I could do 2024. I could do that down the side or across the bottom. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do it across the bottom. I'm going to be kind of freestyling that 2024, but you'll see Where is my class of? It's laying down in the back. All right. So I am going to start with this class of, and then I'm going to do the 2024 at the bottom so that I can then do the caps in the background and fill in the rest of the space. So I'm just going to simply stamp that. And then there we go. So I started with the 2 for the 24. It's definitely not going to be perfect, but it should be okay. Obviously, we're going to go at an angle. I could have penciled in a line or something, but I did not. So we're just, and I'm trying not to put my head over too far, but all right. So now I have my class of 2024. And now I can stamp that cap and tassel in the background. And let's see. And I am just kind of keeping that kind of in line, and I'll do 3 on this side. And this one's probably going to cut off just a little bit, but not too bad. And there you go. Okay, so there is our background. Nice, sweet, and simple. And let's see. I have everything spread all out in front of me here. So I want to make sure I get all my pieces and parts. All right. So I did do, and I keep getting ink all over myself. Make sure I'm not going to get it on the card. Give me 1 second. Here's a wonderful tip. Always have some baby wipes nearby or a washcloth that is pre-moistened so that you can easily get rid of any extra ink that might be laying around. All right, so I did go ahead and stamp these ahead of time. I am using Real Red and Crushed Curry. These are our Stampin' Right markers, but I am going to be using some blends this evening as well. So I have the dark and light Real Red blends, and then I have 2 of our excuse me, skin tone blends, and those are all that I used this evening. So I am going to color with the little fine tip point here, just that little tie sash that are tied around the scroll. You know these are fake when you really graduate, right? You actually have to pay a lot of money to have the real one sent to you. And it doesn't come rolled. Well, mine did come rolled up, actually. Comes in a tube in the mail. And I'll tell you, they're not cheap. The earning or the actual shipment of the item. So, all right. So here's some fussy cutting. There will be a little bit of that this evening. We do not have a die set for this. However, unless you have 1 million people graduating, you probably won't be fussy cutting too many of these. You could use these to create announcements or invitations to a graduation party. So lots of opportunities for different options with these. So again, just a little bit of fussy cutting. I like to leave a tiny little white border around it, depending on what it is, especially since we're using a white backdrop. So it's just gonna kind of blend right in, but we're gonna pop these up on dimensionals so they don't completely disappear. Okay. One last piece, our little robe. Actually surprised at how many people we know who are graduating, and I'm gonna say nearly all of them we know through softball. So those friendships that the mamas make, they last forever too. Okay, so remember I said this was one of our super simple cards because we were just using stamps, ink, and paper, and that is what we did. So we're just going to pop these up on some dimensionals here and put them on top of this card. And you could, I don't know, I did it kind of off kilter a little bit, but I'll straighten this one out, I guess. I am using both my regular sized and my minis, just for convenience. Or should I say laziness, because I just don't want to cut my big ones in half right now. However, and I think I'm going to put this on this side. All right, so here are the two versions of card number 1. So, class of 2024. Okay. Moving on to card number 2. So card number 2 is kind of a knockoff of a card that was in our catalog that one of my team members recreated with some things, and then I decided that I was going to turn it into this. So inspiration from everywhere, right? So let's move that to the side. So again, I started with a white card base. It is the thick basic white. And make sure I don't have anything in there. Okay, so we're going to simply create a border on one side with our scroll. And then we've got some amazing black and white paper right now. It is part of our rock and roll set, and I just love all the black and white pieces. So I have used it more just for the black and white than I have anything else. Now, because I struggle keeping things lined up correctly, I'm going to go ahead and test this out. Now, when I did this one, I just kind of eyeballed the left side. I'm going to go ahead and adhere these pieces and hope and pray that I can at least get them to stay in the lines a little bit better. So we're just going to test this out live. Again, I did not do it this way initially, so bear with me. You do not have to be quite as nitpicky as I am. And, you know, there are ways I could mask all the areas that I do not want to have any ink, but I'm just going to try this out and see. I did leave a little bit of a border on the right-hand side. Okay. And if you don't press it down super hard, you can pick it back up if you have gotten it crooked. See, I told you, don't do anything super straight. Okay, I think that's about as good as it's going to get. So now I'm simply going to stamp my scroll all the way down the left-hand side. Usually I would tell you to stamp first, but again, I'm trying to kind of center this. And so I'm just lining this up as close to being centered as possible between the edge of my paper and the edge of the red cardstock. And then I will take that real red marker and I will color in that little scroll line. So I don't think they look too different. I think I probably got more in on this one, but again, not too different. While I have this open, I'm going to go ahead and stamp our cap kind of at an angle towards the top. And close this one up and get out the real red. Now, if I didn't have a real red ink pad, I could color this with the Stampin' Right marker. So that is one little trick of Stampin' Up. You can use that. And I'm going to twist this until it fits on here. I might have to turn this over and do the words first. Yep. All right, there are two sides to every piece of paper. We're going to turn this over because I forgot that this stamp fills this circle from left to right. And we'll just come back in with this stamp now that the words are on there, because I want to make sure that my tassel hangs down by the A. All right. Again, a pretty easy card to create if you do it in the right order. Add that little tassel. And I'm going to go ahead and color these in before I add the sentiment on dimensionals. So this is just a tiny bit of coloring, not necessary, but it adds that little extra pop of color. You could do this in the gold color as well. All right, so we will put a couple of these dimensionals on here. And put this right here. And that is card number 2. All right, let's move on to card number 3. All right, so card number 3 is a gift card holder. Ah! Well, it's a gift card holder, and I had a part prepped, and now I have lost it. So we will recreate whatever that is, and of course it'll pop up later, probably on my clothes. All right, so this is a gift card holder. So when you open this up, you can put a gift card in here. You can still write, okay? So that is what that looks like. So let's go ahead and tell you what these are, and then I'll tell you about these special red rhinestones. We don't sell those. We don't have red rhinestones. So how did I get red rhinestones? I'll show you in just a moment. All right, so I have pre-cut a whole bunch of pieces, but I'm going to tell you what they are So if you are watching this, even on the replay, you will have an opportunity to create these yourself at home. So you're going to have a 4 1/4 by 11 sheet of cardstock. This is your background piece. You're going to score it at 5 1/2, and then you'll score it 2 1/2 inches from the outside edge here. So when I cut that, I then have my 5 1/2 and then 2 1/2. Okay. So this middle piece is 3 inches. I mean, that was simple math, Nicole. Hello. All right, so there is a trick to this. So on the inside, I'm going to have a 4 by 5 1/4, and you can use a 6-inch 6 by 6 piece of DSP if you have that. You would cut it down so that you have 4 inches, okay, by 6. Then you're going to cut a 2 3/4, a 2 1/4, and then a 1-inch piece. Okay, so these are all the DSP pieces that you're going to need. And let's go ahead. We'll do this inside piece first. The 1-inch is simply an embellishment, basically, for the right hand edge of this inside piece that you would write on. So I like to do that first. And then you're simply centering this in here, just like most of our inside pieces, right? All right. So now this little piece becomes the holder for our gift card. So I have a 2-inch piece that will fit on here. And before I can do anything else, now is when I need to punch any holes so that you can use your fingers and slide out that gift card in and out either way. Now, I found that going through 2 layers of paper is really difficult. So what I did, I chose the oval punch. I have big old fingers, so a tiny little circle punch is not always getting the card in and out for me. And I'm just kind of lining this up just under halfway, and then I'll punch this out. And now this inside piece, I'm simply going to do a little bit less on that as well. Okay. And that is going to line up and leave a little bit of a border of cardstock all around it. So I'll go ahead and add some adhesive. And then I'm lining this up. I can leave a little bit of a border if I want, or I can just line that up completely and leave my border by the fold, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick this piece right here. This will become the outside front flap of your card. Let me get this on here. And I am centering that just in that 3-inch panel. Just a little bit of a border around there. Now to create a pocket for the card, you can use our tear and tape, which is a very strong product. And it is also very thin or narrow, so your card is going to fit in here comfortably. It's pretty sticky, so I'm going to add this as far to the top as possible. If there's a gap down here, it's not as big of a deal. So don't leave the gap at the top, leave it at the bottom. And then just peel that backing paper off. And fold it and press it in place. So now you have a spot to put a gift card. Okay. So this is the foundation of the gift card holder. And now let's create the outside piece. Again, I'm going to have to find one of my scraps, which I have plenty. So I'm going to go ahead and do another cap. Of course, I will be finding the other one later. Nothing on my fingers. We're good. All right. So I'm going to do my yellow tassel. I'm going to stamp "Congratulations, Graduate." Here it is. And we're going to stamp that on the left-hand side of this white piece here. And this, our black cardstock, basic black, is 1 3/4 by 4 1/2, and then this one is 1 1/2 by 4 1/4. And I'm going to stamp this toward the left side in the middle. All right, I think I'm done with ink at the moment. Go ahead and layer this 1 1/2 inch piece right on top of the basic black. And then I flip this over, and I know this edge is what is going directly on here, and I centered this. And I forgot to stamp the cute caps on the inside. Hi, Jennifer. I don't always look up at the screen to see if people are here. It's safer that way. Let's see what I did with it. Here it is. All right. So again, I'm going to use this edge, and I just did a little bit of a back and forth. Just like that. Thanks, Jen. All right, so then we're going to cut out our gown so that we can layer that on top. Thank you. I have 1 million people graduating this year, so I have to make a lot of cards. So this set was perfect. And of course, I wish I knew somebody graduating from the University of Florida, because I really want to make an orange and blue card. All right, so the cap is going to go up on dimensionals, and it'll go right here. So I just stuck a couple of these on in the center of the gown. I think I called it a cap, but it's a gown. And I just put this on here so that you could see at least one of these caps behind there. And I did color those tassels with red. So these cards can really be customized to any school. You could even use some blending in the back of the black and white paper if you wanted to incorporate some college colors or high school colors. And then I did one 3-dimensional cap on that sentiment just to add a little popped up element there. So fussy cutting another cap really quickly. All right. Again, those mini dimensionals are just so helpful when you do not want to cut dimensionals. Hi, Clover. Okay, so I told you I would tell you how to get real red rhinestones, but we don't sell them. So we're going to use our regular rhinestone basic jewels and our dark real red blend, and we are simply going to color them. So that is one of the fun tricks of our blends, is that they are alcohol based and they will color sequins. They will also color our rhinestones. I think you could probably color pearls. I haven't done it recently to remember. Best hack ever. Absolutely, right? We just needed a little bit of bling on this card. So I decided that we needed to color some rhinestones so that we could add that on here. All right, so that is card number 3. Okay, so card number 4 and card number 5 are basically 2 different versions of the same card. They are both slimline cards. One can be a money holder or designed to put some money in the pocket. The other one, obviously, you're going to use an envelope. You can put money in any card. So this first one here is simply a card that you would have a white card base on the inside, place to write. You can use a business-sized envelope for this, or you can create your own envelope. So this is the next one we're going to do. The Slimline cards, this one is 7 inches by 8.5, and it is scored at 3.5 and folded. Okay, so that is card number 4. Card number 5 is the money pocket version. So let's go ahead and create that. We will have a tiny little bit of fussy cutting again. So let me tell you the dimensions on this one. Okay, so this one is 8.5 in this direction, and then 7, 8, 9, 10. So I trimmed off an inch from an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. It is scored at 3.5 and 7, leaving you with 3 inches on this side. Let me make sure. Yes. Again, because the punch does not go through 2 layers very well, I left this one plain, but I could add another layer of DSP on here, whatever I wanted to do. But I went ahead and punched this one, and I'm going to leave it just plain. And I'm going to use that tear and tape again, because it is one of our strongest holds. So we'll start with this part. And on this one, I did a white, just a solid white insert so that there was a spot to write on the inside, since there would be money in this one. All right. It's time for Tick Pick tool. All right, so then this folds up, and again, there is a very nice place here for you to slide some money. Okay. Then we have a front piece that we're going to glue in here with any adhesive that you love. This is where you're gonna tell them all the best wishes for their prosperous future. This piece is 3 by 8 and 3 by 8. All right, so again, I'm using that rock and roll paper because it is just the best stuff. It has 2 different sides. So on the first card, I used this really dark side, but on this side, on this card, I'm going to use this little bit of a striped side. And this one is 3 1/4 by 8 1/4. And we're going to turn this one so that we have this one in a more horizontal direction. I did do a little bit of blending on the last one. I think I'm going to use a different color this time. You can use whatever color works for you. And let's see, I did congratulations graduate, but I think I'm going to do this. All of the hard work was worth it. So let me start with this in the center. Now we're just free form for this part. So and I'm gonna do a yellow, little bit of yellow for our backdrop here. So one of my favorite colors from this last color change out was Lemon Lolly. So I'm gonna leave the inside of this white, and so I'm just going to go around the words with a little bit of this Lemon Lolly color. Turn this around. I am going off onto my mat. You can use a piece of scratch paper or some grid paper, whatever works for you. I cannot wait personally for this mat to come back in for us to be able to just purchase outright. That will be a very exciting day because we want more than one in our house. Okay, so there you have it. My Lemon Lolly is all around. And now I'll add some more of the elements from our stamp set. So I want to do the hand holding the scroll. So I'm gonna do these separately, and then I'm gonna kind of fussy cut them and see if I can't make it look like the hand is holding the scroll. And all right, so I'm going to use this right here. So one of the tricks I used on this one is that I have this corner for the hand for the robe. So the way you do that is you use a corner and you come in kind of at a diagonal from the corner with your stamp, and then you can just color out to the corner, and that gives you your robe extension. It looks like the robe is there. So we will color this again. And I'm going to use that Real red again for the robe. I am doing the dark first. And I colored all the way to the corner. And then I went back in with the light and just kind of created like wrinkles with some lines. And it will lighten this up just a little bit in the end. You can see there's a little bit of variegation in there. And then I used some of our skin tone. This is actually the bronze, but it works. And then once I was done with the whole hand, I went back in with a lighter color and I kind of lined the creases in the hand where the skin would naturally be a little bit lighter. So I'm using that bullet tip for these creases and it will just lighten these up. You can also use the, I want to call it the bleach pen, but that's not what it is. It's the lightener. Let me see if it has an official name. Color lifter. Imagine that. So you can use the color lifter to kind of lighten that up. And I'm going to hold this really close and see if you can see how just using that lighter color also lifts the color. So you can see that in the hand there. All right. So again, a little bit of fussy cutting, but before I do that, I'm going to want this large cap, and I do fantastically have enough room to do that. Thank you, Jennifer. Some days I have no words. No words. All right, so here's my cap. And I really love the crushed curry tassel. So just kind of nothing fancy. Added that there. And I did do the real red for the cap. You could use colored pencils for this and make it look like a watercolor. You could probably spritz this on a block and kind of give it a little bit more of a watercolored look, but I just loved the boldness of the real red. And since our Ragin' Cajuns have this real red color, I thought that it would be perfect for a UL graduation, or our north side, I believe high school has red. So, all right. So again, we're going to do a little bit of fussy cutting. I left a teeny tiny bit of the white border, but not as much as usual since I have that beautiful blended background. And I like to turn my paper more than I do my scissors. I can get pretty close with these snips. This is where it gets quiet because I cannot fussy cut super well and talk at the same time. All right, so we have our hands. And then we'll do our cap the same way because we have that beautiful blended background. We're going to leave as little white border as we can, just so that it blends in as much as possible, but also it's going to pop up. And then I just kind of wiggle my scissors down here around those marker strokes for the tassel, because I don't know about you, but my tassel was not perfect at the end. So we definitely don't want to make our card tassels perfect at the end. All right. There's our cap, and then we will have one more piece to cut out right here. Okay, here we go. So I am putting these on those dimensionals, just like we did on the last ones. Again, the lazy man's way is just to have some minis ready to go, because they are perfect for some of these. And then I also am going to use some of the long pieces, because we're going to mount this entire piece up on dimension. So I'm lining that corner up for the bottom there. And we will put that over there. And we have the scroll, and I'm going to put it right here. And then I'm also going to add some gold sequins. I'm just going to kind of sprinkle these on the card like confetti. This would make actually a really great shaker card if I had thought about that a long time ago, but we're just using some sequins instead, adhesive sequins, because they just make a lot of sense. And I am just doing the rule of doubles here. All right, so that is our sequins, and then we are going to lift this entire thing up on the strips. Let's see, okay. So two left on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and come down, snap that off. I'm gonna add a couple of these in the center because this one is going to be too long as well, so I'll be able to trim that and add this one in the center. And then these come off so easily, way better than like 12 dimensionals on the back here. Cap, diploma, and sequins in a shaker. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm probably, like I said, I have a million people graduating, so I will probably turn something into a shaker soon. All right, so there is our money pocket graduation card. And this is a pretty heavy duty card because it's got, you know, almost an entire sheet of paper. So if you are mailing this, you might want to make sure that one stamp works. Of course, I have this on crooked. I may have already pressed it down too hard. Oh, maybe not. Look at that. Saved, 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 because I don't want it too crooked. Oh, I'm peeling off some paper under there. Grr. Okay, now I'll do this a little bit better here. Okay, now we're pressing this down. Okay, so again, so if you are wanting to purchase a kit, you will get the card base scored and ready for a money holder. So you're still going to get 4 projects. You will create your own envelope or grab a business envelope for this. And you can make one of those and then one of each of the other cards as well. So that is what tonight's kit will be. And because I have been running like a fool all over the place, I will get this information up in the description, and my newsletter will go out in just a little bit this evening, and the information to order this kit will be in my newsletter. If you do not have my newsletter, you'll want to catch the replay or the description on my YouTube page, because I can edit that one and all the information will be there. So I hope that you enjoyed some graduation fun. It's a little early, but I mean, I now have 8 cards here. So I am almost done with graduation cards. So that's exciting for me. I hope I can help you be prepared for graduation this year. Hit me up and I'll get you connected. Y'all have a great rest of the week. Enjoy what is left of our super springy weather. And it's going to be summer before you know it. Have a great night.